I thought I was the luckiest guy in the world when Sophia agreed to marry me. 5 years together, 8 months engaged, and our wedding was just around the corner. Everything was perfect until she attended her best friend's destination wedding without me. When she returned, something had changed. Late-night secret phone calls, password changes, and distant behavior became our new normal. Then came her confession. She had cheated with a bridesmaid named Megan, and suddenly realized she was bisexual. What shocked me most wasn't her sexuality but her demand. She wanted freedom to explore while I waited faithfully. Before I tell you how my perfectly planned future crumbled overnight, let me know where you're watching from. Hit subscribe and the notification bell if you've ever had to choose between your happiness and someone else's self-discovery. I met Sophia 5 years ago at my friend Tyler's summer barbecue. I remember everything about that day: the smell of charcoal, the sound of laughter, and the way the sunset created a halo around her dark curls when she first smiled at me. I was 32, established in my career as a software engineer at a well-respected tech company in Seattle, and had finally reached a point in my life where I felt ready for something meaningful. From the moment we started talking about our shared love of hiking the Pacific Northwest trails, I knew there was something special between us. Our first date stretched from coffee into dinner, and then a midnight walk along the waterfront. Within weeks, we were practically inseparable, finishing each other's sentences and planning weekend adventures together. What made our relationship different from my previous ones was how naturally our lives melded together. We both dreamed of traveling to Japan someday, wanted to start a family before we hit our mid-30s, and shared the same values about financial security and work-life balance. We even had the same taste in music, and could spend entire evenings debating the merits of obscure indie bands while cooking dinner together. After 2 years of dating, we decided to move in together. I still remember carrying her book collection up 3 flights of stairs to our apartment, with the view of the city skyline. That first night in our shared home cooking pasta in our tiny kitchen, I realized I wanted to spend my life with her. The proposal took 6 months of planning. I chose Pike Place Market, where we had our second date. I arranged for a local street musician to play her favorite song as we walked past. When I got down on one knee pulling out the emerald ring she had once pointed out in a vintage shop, her eyes filled with tears before I could even finish asking the question. The crowd that gathered around us cheered when she said yes. Wedding planning became our second job. We found a perfect venue overlooking Puget Sound, set a date for September, and started putting down deposits. Sophia threw herself into every detail, tasting cakes, selecting flowers, and creating personalized vows. Her excitement was contagious, and even though wedding planning stressed me out sometimes, seeing her happiness made it worthwhile. Everything was going according to plan until her best friend Jamie announced she was having a destination wedding in Hawaii 3 months before our own ceremony. Sophia was asked to be a bridesmaid, which meant she needed to attend. Unfortunately, the wedding coincided with the final phase of a critical project at my job, one that could lead to a promotion that would significantly boost our newlywed finances. "I really wish you could come," Sophia said, as she packed her suitcase the night before her flight. "It will be the first wedding we have not attended together." "I know, babe. But this project could mean big things for us," I replied, helping her fold her bridesmaid dress into her carry-on. "Besides, you deserve some fun girl time before our own wedding madness kicks into high gear." Despite my supportive words, I felt a small knot of anxiety. We had barely spent more than a weekend apart in 5 years. But I pushed those feelings aside, knowing they were irrational. The night before her departure, I made her favorite dinner, seared scallops with risotto, and we talked late into the night about our future. 62 more days until you are Mrs. Walker, I whispered as we fell asleep. "I cannot wait," she replied, kissing me deeply. For the first few days of her trip, everything seemed normal. She sent me pictures of the resort selfies with the other bridesmaids, and called me every night to tell me about the pre-wedding activities. But as the weekend progressed, her messages became shorter and less frequent. She missed our scheduled video call the night before the wedding, sending only a brief text claiming poor reception at the resort. I tried to ignore the growing unease, telling myself she was just busy with bridesmaid duties. But when I picked her up from the airport a week later, I knew immediately something had changed. The woman who walked through the arrival gate looked like my fiancée, but something essential was missing. Her smile seemed forced, her hug brief and stiff. When I leaned in to kiss her, she turned slightly, so my lips landed on her cheek instead of her mouth. "Long flight?" I asked, taking her suitcase. "Yeah," she replied, already scrolling through her phone. "Super exhausting." During the drive home, she answered my questions about the wedding with vague generalities, nothing like her usual detailed storytelling. Instead of showing me the hundreds of photos I expected, she kept her phone clutched in her hand screen, tilted away from me. The next morning I woke to find her sitting on the edge of our bed texting someone. When she noticed me stirring, she quickly locked her screen. "Who are you texting at 7 in the morning?" I asked, trying to keep my tone casual. "Just Jamie," she said too quickly, thanking her for the bridesmaid gift. Over the following days, a new pattern emerged. Sophia started taking her phone into the bathroom when showering. She changed her passcode, which had been the same date, the day we met, for years. Whenever her phone chimed with notifications, she would grab it immediately, often leaving the room to respond. Physical intimacy between us disappeared. Each night she claimed exhaustion or headaches. When I reached for her hand while watching TV, she would find reasons to get up, more water bathroom breaks, suddenly remembering emails she needed to send. My attempts to discuss these changes were met with defensiveness. "You are being paranoid, Darren," she snapped when I gently asked if everything was okay between us. "The wedding planning is stressing me out. That is all." But I knew there was more. Her behavior reminded me too much of my college girlfriend who had cheated on me with her study partner. The same secretiveness, the same avoidance, the same excuses. 2 weeks after her return, we attended a housewarming party for my coworker Brad. Several of our mutual friends were there, including Tyler, who had introduced us. I noticed how people gave me strange looks, mixtures of pity and discomfort. When I approached a group where Sophia was chatting, their conversation abruptly shifted. Later that night, Tyler pulled me aside while Sophia was talking to someone across the room. "Everything good with you and Sophia?" he asked, his expression concerned. "Why do you ask?" I replied, tension building in my chest. "No reason," he said unconvincingly. "Just checking in." That night I could not sleep. The evidence was mounting, but I still could not believe Sophia would betray me. We had built our relationship on honesty and communication. We had plans, dreams, a future mapped out together. I decided I needed to know the truth, whatever it was. The next evening I waited until we had finished dinner. Sophia was already reaching for her phone, preparing to disappear into another room, as had become her habit. "We need to talk," I said firmly. "Something happened in Hawaii, and I need you to tell me what it was." Her face paled. For a moment she seemed ready to deny everything, but then her shoulders slumped. "I did not mean for it to happen," she whispered, tears forming. "It was the night before the wedding. We had all been drinking at the bachelorette party." My stomach dropped as she continued. "Her name is Megan. She was another bridesmaid. We connected instantly, and after everyone else went to bed, we stayed up talking on the beach." She paused, wiping away tears. One thing led to another, and we kissed, and more. The room seemed to tilt sideways. Despite my suspicions, hearing the confirmation felt like being punched in the chest, but what came next was even more shocking. "The thing is, Darren, it made me realize something about myself, I think." She hesitated, then continued with growing confidence. "I think I am bisexual. I have always had these feelings for women that I suppressed. Being with Megan felt like unlocking a part of myself I never knew existed." I sat in stunned silence, trying to process everything. It was not her sexuality that bothered me. It was the betrayal, the secrecy, the fact that she had cheated. "I am sorry about how you found out," she said, reaching for my hand. "But I need you to understand something. I still love you. I still want to marry you. But I also need to explore this side of myself." I pulled my hand away, confused. "What exactly are you saying?" "I am saying that I want us to modify our relationship, just temporarily," she added quickly. "I need some freedom to explore my attraction to women, to figure out what it means for me." As her words sank in, I realized with growing horror what she was actually proposing. "You want an open relationship." 2 months before our wedding, she nodded eagerly, as if relieved I understood. "Yes, but only for me, and only with women. It would not be the same as cheating with another man. This is about my identity, my self-discovery. And I am supposed to do what exactly? Just wait around while you date other people." "It would not be dating," she insisted. "Just exploring. And yes, you would continue as you are. This is not about us, Darren. This is about me figuring out who I am." I could not believe what I was hearing. My fiancée, the woman I had built my life around, was asking me to accept her infidelity and then give her permission to continue it, all while expecting me to remain exclusively committed to her. "If you really love me," she said, her voice taking on a manipulative edge I had never heard before, You will support me in this. It is what modern evolved couples do. People are becoming more fluid about these things. As she continued talking about her rights to self-discovery and how I should be open-minded enough to support her journey, something cold settled in my chest. This was not about sexuality or identity. This was about selfishness, about wanting the security of our relationship, while also having the freedom to pursue whatever or whoever else caught her attention. That night I slept on the couch, my mind racing with confusion and hurt. The next morning I called my oldest friend James and asked to meet for coffee. James had known me since high school and had seen me through previous heartbreaks. When I explained the situation, his expression darkened. "Let me get this straight," he said, leaning forward. "She cheated on you, then came out as bisexual, and now wants permission to keep cheating, but only with women while you sit at home being faithful." Put so bluntly, the absurdity of her request became even clearer. "Yeah, that about sums it up. And what did you tell her?" "Nothing definitive yet. I suggested couples therapy, but she says this is not about us having problems. This is about her needing space to explore her authentic self without losing me." James shook his head. "That is some grade A manipulation right there. Would she be okay with you having this hall pass too?" I asked. She said no, that would be cheating because I am not going through an identity crisis. "Convenient," James muttered. "Look, her sexuality is her business, but using it as a free pass to cheat while keeping you on a leash, that is not okay." Over the next week I tried to understand Sophia's perspective. I read articles about sexual fluidity and coming out later in life. I suggested again that we see a counselor together to navigate this major change. She refused, saying a therapist might try to suppress her awakening. Then I discovered something that changed everything. While using our shared laptop, a message notification popped up on her synced accounts. It was from Megan, the bridesmaid. Normally I would never read someone else's messages, but given the circumstances, I clicked on it. What I found shattered any remaining illusions. Their conversation revealed this was not a sudden discovery of her sexuality. Sophia had been attracted to women for years. She had even told Megan about a college experience with her roommate, something she had never shared with me in 5 years together. Worse, they were still actively flirting, making plans to meet, when Megan visited Seattle the following month. When I confronted Sophia with this information, she accused me of invading her privacy. The conversation devolved into our first real argument. "You had no right to read my messages," she shouted. "And you had no right to lie to me for 5 years," I countered. "This is not about you suddenly discovering your sexuality. This is about you wanting to cheat with permission. You are twisting everything. This is exactly why I did not tell you before. You cannot understand what I am going through." As the days passed, the pressure intensified from unexpected directions. Several of our mutual friends who Sophia had spoken to first began texting me about being supportive of her journey. Her sister called me explaining how brave Sophia was, and how I should consider myself lucky she wanted to keep me in her life at all. The manipulation reached new heights when Megan posted a photo on social media of herself with Sophia at the wedding, captioned with, "Found a kindred spirit number soul connection." Sophia not only liked the post, but commented with a heart emoji. When I saw mutual friends liking the interaction, I realized Sophia was controlling the narrative, painting herself as the brave explorer of identity and me as the close-minded obstacle. The breaking point came during a dinner with our friends Alex and Lindsay. Halfway through the meal, Sophia casually announced, "I have come to realize I am bisexual," as if sharing news about a new haircut. Our friends responded with appropriate supportiveness. Then Sophia added, "Darren and I are working on transitioning to a more open relationship structure, so I can explore this side of myself." I nearly choked on my drink. We had not agreed to anything of the sort. She was publicly establishing her version of our relationship, without my consent, putting me in a position where objecting would make me look intolerant. The drive home was silent. While Sophia chatted happily about how supportive our friends had been, I gripped the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white, a profound clarity washing over me. This was not the woman I had fallen in love with. Or perhaps she was, and I had been blind to this manipulative side of her character. That night, lying awake while Sophia slept peacefully beside me, I realized I had a choice to make. I could either sacrifice my self-respect on the altar of her desires, or I could stand up for myself and the kind of relationship I deserved. By morning, I knew what I had to do. "We need to talk," I said as Sophia entered the kitchen the next morning. My voice was calm, steadier than I expected. She looked up from her phone, expression wary. About what? About us. About the wedding. I took a deep breath. I cannot do this. Do what this relationship on your terms. The wedding. All of it. I am calling it off. Her face cycled through shock, confusion, and then anger. You are breaking up with me because I am bisexual. That is literally discrimination. No, I said firmly. I am breaking up with you because you cheated, lied, and then expected me to accept an arrangement where you get to continue seeing other people while I wait faithfully at home. This has nothing to do with your sexuality and everything to do with respect. But I love you. She protested, tears forming. I thought you loved me too. I did. I do. But love without respect and honesty is not enough. I had already packed an overnight bag. James had offered his spare room until I could figure out my next steps. I placed my key on the counter and slid the engagement ring across to her. I will make arrangements for the rest of my things. As for the wedding, I will call the venue today and see what deposits we can recover. You cannot be serious, she said, her voice rising. You are throwing away 5 years over one mistake. It was not one mistake, Sophia. It was a series of choices. Choices to lie, to manipulate, to prioritize your desires over our relationship. I picked up my bag. I deserve better than that. And honestly, so do you. The next few weeks were a blur of logistics and emotions. Canceling a wedding 2 months before the date involved dozens of awkward phone calls, lost deposits, and returning gifts that had already arrived. I moved into a small studio apartment, leaving most of our shared furniture with Sophia. The hardest part was explaining the situation to friends and family. Sophia had already spread her version of events, positioning herself as a brave woman, embracing her authentic sexuality, and me as the villain who abandoned her for it. Some people believed her cutting me out of their lives entirely, but others saw through the manipulation. My parents, who had always adored Sophia, stood firmly by my side when I explained the full situation. My older sister, who had gone through a messy divorce years earlier, became my strongest supporter. You dodged a bullet, she told me over dinner at her place. Better to find out who she really is now than after you are legally bound to her. I started seeing a therapist to process my feelings. Dr. Marshall helped me recognize that while the end of my relationship was painful, it was also an opportunity for growth and self-discovery of my own. You set a boundary, she pointed out during one session. That is not only healthy, it is essential for any functional relationship. The right partner will respect those boundaries, not try to manipulate you into moving them. Gradually, I rebuilt my life. I threw myself into work, earning the promotion I had been pursuing. I reconnected with old friends I had neglected during my relationship. I rediscovered my love for rock climbing, spending weekends at the indoor gym, and eventually taking a solo trip to Joshua Tree National Park, where the physical challenge and stark beauty of the landscape brought a clarity I had been missing. 3 months after our breakup, just weeks after what would have been our wedding day, Sophia showed up at my apartment unannounced. She looked different. Her hair was shorter, her expression subdued. "Can we talk?" she asked when I opened the door, her voice lacking the confidence I remembered. Against my better judgment, I let her in. She sat on the edge of my couch, fingers twisting nervously. "I made a terrible mistake," she began, tears already forming. I thought I needed to explore this part of myself, but all I did was destroy the best thing in my life. She explained that her relationship with Megan had fizzled out quickly once the excitement of forbidden fruit wore off. Megan, it turned out, had been more interested in the thrill of seduction than any real connection. I realized I was chasing a fantasy, Sophia admitted. "Nothing has felt right since you left. I miss our life, our plans. I miss you." She reached for my hand, her eyes pleading. "I know I hurt you, and I will spend the rest of my life making it up to you if you will give me another chance. I will do anything. Therapy, complete transparency, whatever you need. I just want us back." 3 months earlier, these words would have been everything I wanted to hear. But sitting across from her now, I felt strangely calm, unmoved by tears that once would have broken my heart. "I forgive you," I said gently, moving my hand away from hers. "But that does not mean I want to rebuild what we had. Is there someone else?" she asked, a flash of possessiveness crossing her face. "No. This is not about another relationship. It is about what I learned about myself when you left. I deserve someone who sees me as a partner, not an option or a safety net." Her tears turned to anger. "So that is it. 5 years means nothing to you." "It meant everything to me." I corrected her. "That is why your betrayal hurt so much. But I am grateful for what happened. Her eyes widened in shock. Grateful. Yes, because it taught me what I will and will not accept in a relationship. It taught me that I am stronger than I thought, that I can rebuild and be happy on my own terms. As I walked her to the door, she made one last desperate appeal. Your stuff is still at the apartment. You could come home. We could try again, start fresh. I shook my head. My home is here now. I will arrange to pick up the rest of my things next weekend. After she left, I expected to feel regret, or at least nostalgia. Instead, I felt an overwhelming sense of peace. The decision I had made 3 months ago had been the right one, not just for my self-respect, but for my future happiness. 6 months after ending my engagement, my life had transformed in ways I never expected. The promotion at work came with new responsibilities that challenged and energized me. My new apartment, while smaller than the one I had shared with Sophia, had become a space that reflected my personality and preferences. I had started dating again cautiously. Nothing serious, just coffee or dinner with interesting people I met through friends or my climbing gym. I made sure to be upfront about my recent experience, and found that honesty attracted the kind of connections I wanted: authentic, respectful, and transparent. One Saturday morning, while browsing at my favorite bookstore, I literally bumped into Elise, a marine biologist who had recently moved to Seattle for a research position. Our conversation about ocean conservation turned into coffee, which turned into dinner the following weekend. Unlike my desperate rush into commitment after previous breakups, I took things slowly, enjoying the process of getting to know someone new without expectations. You seem different from other guys I have dated, Elise observed during our third date. More present. Like you know who you are. That is a recent development, I admitted, telling her an abbreviated version of my story. She nodded thoughtfully. Boundaries are sexy. Sounds like you learned that lesson the hard way. Through this new connection and the continued support of friends and family, I gained perspective on what had happened with Sophia. Her behavior had not been about sexuality or self-discovery. Those were just convenient narratives to justify selfish choices. Real self-discovery does not require betraying others or demanding special exceptions. I realized that love is not just about grand emotions or compatible life goals, though those matter. It is about respecting each other enough to be honest even when the truth is uncomfortable. It is about understanding that true partnership means considering your actions not just in terms of your own desires, but their impact on someone who has entrusted you with their heart. Sometimes I think about the wedding that never happened, the life I thought I would be living now. While I occasionally miss aspects of my relationship with Sophia, I never regret my decision to walk away. Some might see it as throwing away 5 good years. I see it as saving myself from decades of manipulation and disrespect. The truth is, love should never require the sacrifice of your dignity or self-worth. Sometimes the bravest, most loving choice you can make is to say no to someone you care about when what they are asking crosses a fundamental boundary. That is not a failure of love, but an affirmation of something equally important: self-respect. And sometimes the end of what you thought was your future opens the door to something better, not just a healthier relationship with someone else, but a stronger relationship with yourself. I would love to hear your thoughts on this experience. Have you ever had to choose between someone you loved and your own self-respect? What would you have done in my situation? Leave a comment below, hit like if this story resonated with you, subscribe for more real-life experiences, and share with someone who might need to hear this message today. Remember, you deserve a relationship where love and respect go hand in hand. Thank you for listening, and I hope my story helps someone out there facing a similar crossroads.